Hi, thanks, and happy weekend to you. I'm going to tell you the story of how Eve came about. Eve and the Eve calendar. They are new initiatives that were born in early February this year. They came about to promote gender and L1 English speaker and L2 English speaker parity in lineups in ELT events, EFL events, conferences, webinars, whatever, but not the whole lineup, just the feature speakers. So the plenary speakers, the panel, although there will be annual Eves that will take account of the whole lot. What can I tell you? Well, the whole thing started, let me click on my slide, the whole thing started at the get-together last April 2017, for ELT teacher to writers, authors, because that's where I met Sue Leather, who's the lady in the pink in the slide there. And it took place, appropriately enough, in Glasgow. Now, this is particularly relevant and nice for me, because that means that both Eve and I were born in Glasgow. And the statue there is the statue that was my favourite statue in the Botanic Gardens in Glasgow when I was a child. And in those days I called it the Monkey Man, but from now on I will know him as Adam. Anyway, we met, we got on pretty well, and we ended up, because we're both part of Women in ELT, the Facebook group, we ended up organising a list of mentor speakers for new women speakers, and to pass on the kind of the list to the FAIR list. Tessa Woodward of the FAIR list was looking for female mentors. So that's how Sue and I kind of started working together, and we started discussing, how could we take this idea, because the FAIR list is for events in the UK, and we were thinking, well, maybe there's a need for this overseas, but we don't want to be the ones to say, you have to do it like this. So we started thinking, we weren't quite sure what to do at that point. But over the sort of the spring and summer months, personally, I had a few conversations with people about the topic, because it was kind of the zeitgeist. Last year was a big year, obviously, for the whole gender thing. I mean, even before the Harvey Weinstein stuff in autumn, the whole thing of, gender parity and then what is sometimes called the native non-native debate was still bubbling away. And I had some fairly key conversations with people like, top left there, you've got Jen Dobson, John Hughes, don't really need to tell you which one he is, Tessa Woodward, who's the founder of the FAIR list, and in particular a conversation I had with Kirsten Holt, who's the lady bottom right there. Kirsten Holt was at a conference where they had an all-male lineup of on a panel, and some people seem to go a bit, not aggressive, but but Kirsten kind of handled it very calmly and spoke to the conference organizer and had a very positive response, and that made us think, well, there's no real need to kind of not attack people exactly, but there's no need to sort of get on their case so much. We can find a way of positively encouraging people to work towards parity. We don't need to tell them off if they haven't achieved it, because it's not always easy to do. So anyway, those were 4 main key conversations that I had. And then I started to ponder. And I pondered a bit more. And I thought, it's got to be something we can do. And of course, I was already in contact with Sue Leather, and Sue and I started to discuss it by email. I rather consider myself as the Winnie the Pooh character here. She's the one with the brain. So we thought, yeah, we're going to do something. This is the time is right. So we basically came up with the idea that we would look at conference lineups, and rather than badger people to change their lineups, just recognise them for parity when they had achieved it by themselves. And we thought that was, like being a teacher, it's positive reinforcement. It's not actually telling people what to do, but it's recognising when they've done it anyway. So we had the basic idea. We decided we need some kind of awards or badges. We thought we'd need 3, one for gender, one for L1 and L2 speaker parity, and one for both across the board. But we didn't have a name. And we didn't have a name, and we didn't have a name. And we ended up, I have a whole page of strange acronyms. We were BERSA at one point, which was far too close to a clothing line. I can't remember all the names. We didn't want to use the word equity because that would be almost stealing from Marek's initiative, the TEFL Equity Advocates. We didn't want to use the words fair or list because that would look like we were connected to the fair list, and if of course it all went wrong, then that would not be positive for Tessa. So we spent a long time thinking about the name. And in the middle of the night, in my dream, I woke up and went, oh, Eve. I'd actually dreamt it, which is pretty freaky, but anyway. And Eve, we decided was the best one because Eve, in our culture, shall we say, is a name very, very closely associated with concepts of origin and gender, of course. But it's also an acronym, nice and neatly, for Equal Voices in ELT. So that's where we got the name from. So listen to your dreams if you're looking for ideas. Once we had the name, we needed a logo. To be honest, I used to be involved with ELT picks, and from that I knew that if there's one really good photographer in ELT, there are several, but this one in particular is quite good at taking sort of beautiful but quirky photos, and that's Ian James. So I basically went into ELT picks and pulled up his name and went through his photos, and I found this photo that you can see in the logos. It's actually pivoted, and the original photo is of handrails. And I just thought, yeah, that's it. They are balanced, they are symmetrical, they give support, and they help you basically get where you're going step by step. So it may seem a slightly odd choice, but that's what we did. Of course, we fiddled about with it. We ended up with purple for the gender one, because we definitely wanted to keep away from the blue and red or blue and pink kind of stereotype thing. Green, just because green, I don't know, nature, native, non-native, seemed it needed to be green. And then, of course, platinum is actually kind of red and grey, because just grey on grey didn't look good. So we like the red one, like getting a red star. So those are our 3 Eves. We needed a team, because we knew it was going to be quite a lot of work. So we thought of people that we'd worked with before, enjoyed working with, people who were kind of into this thing. We came up with Henrique from Brazil, Igor, who's very much involved in the native, non-native or L1, L2 debate. We came up with Alexandra Popovsky and Adam Simpson. And we were very happy with that, because we also managed to have 3 men, 3 women, 3 L1 speakers and 3 L2 speakers. And that is our team. And final slide. And we created the Eve calendar, which is a calendar of ELT events, which we have recognised with the Eves. You can see it on the left there. Each entry in the calendar is linked to the event page of the event that has been recognised, and the event coordinator or organiser displays the Eve on the web page. Each Eve is also personalised, so that nobody can pinch it from your page. And of course, we help promote the events through Twitter and Facebook. And if you want to know any more, you need to watch Sue's talk, which is tomorrow, Sunday, at, and I'm going to look at the slide for this because I can't remember, 3:12 GMT. Bye.